Bit of a screw up here. I had absolutely no intention of ever testing anything from these guys again. The last thing that I reviewed from them was this thing, the 60mm macro. Now there was a bit of a mix-up because I thought I was talking to somebody else when they asked if I wanted to review a 35mm f1.4 lens, and I was like, heck yeah, it was PerGear that I was talking to. Now the confusion comes in because at least the people that reach out to content creators, they actually sell a few different brands under, it's like the umbrella, and I got confused in the past, and so I got confused again. But anyway, nonetheless, because I already have it, we will see if they can redeem themselves. I don't like the fact that they pestered me so hard whenever I was trying to take a break. You guys know me, I don't let my biases get in the way, and we're off to a great start because there are no CPU contacts. I'm so tired of lenses not having that on there. It is my opinion that it is not worth having a lens at all that does not have CPU contacts. There's no way that it can be that expensive. Factor the price in. This lens, hang on a second. Yeah, it's $109 to buy this lens over on Amazon. There's no way that CPU contacts would put this thing over 200 bucks. So just put them in there, factor the price in, put the appropriate upcharges in, and then we get CPU contacts. The lens cap seems to fit on very nice. It's not gonna pop off randomly on your jeans. And the rear cap seems to fit on pretty well too. However, what I don't like is that it's kind of hard to grab onto this lens because it is so incredibly tiny. What you're grabbing onto is either the focus ring, and you're trying to put the rear cap on, or the aperture ring, which has a little click. Now I do like aperture rings. I would kind of be in favor of those coming back, but we don't see them too much anymore from Nikon, and we haven't in quite some time, ever since the G series lenses. So this lens is a full frame lens, and it's also for the Z mount, so it does not need to be adapted. Because I'm a little bit scared, the Z6 III is going to be our dummy to test out the machine tolerance here, in case it wants to try to blow out my mount. And this thing is very hard. You either have to grab it by the aperture ring to mount it, or the focus ring, and I don't like that either way. And there's just very few parts of this that don't move. The machine tolerances are fine. It doesn't feel too tight. There's very little slop, but there is some, about what I expect actually from Nikon lenses as well. So far, not bad. Currently, the only things I hate is the fact that there's nothing to grab onto to mount it or to put the rear lens cap back on, and the fact that it doesn't have CPU contacts. But how does it shoot? Well, we need to step outside and figure that out. We're gonna treat this just like we do with like my regular videos. We're gonna test out the saturation. We're gonna do it quick because it's incredibly cold. Red saturation first. And because there's no CPU contacts, I can't see in the camera what the aperture is at. We're gonna do color saturation at, I guess f2.8. And of course the box doesn't illuminate green whenever it's in focus. That's fun. The joys of not having a lens that communicates. Through the lens, the colors look fine. We'll see in Lightroom though. All right, so we gotta check black and white ability on our post over here. This thing. Classic ZWade photo stuff. Oh my God, it flares bad. It is really cold outside today. I think we'll do some of these leaves. I guess we can see how close it focuses. Actually, I want to do something at f1.4 and see what kind of quality we get. Then at f2.8, we'll do f4, f5.6. Let's see what the bokeh looks like. It's very, very tiny. But I will say that the manual, like the focus ring, is very, very smooth. A little stiff for how tiny it is. If it was a little lighter to the touch, then it would probably, the tiny, tiny size of it probably wouldn't be as offensive. But for what it's worth, it is really, really smooth. I'm not very excited shooting this lens. That's something that can be said about it. It's just not. 35-1.4 is cool. And you know, I've been in the market for the 35mm f1.2 Z mount made by Nikon. I've been waiting on that for 2 years or better, but I like the idea of wide aperture 35s. Just looking for some okay leaves or bark or something. There are some fell branches over here. It's so bright out right now. Could probably arrange this. Arrange that to where the light's hitting it differently. Get a little background. Would it be weird to say that I feel like it's focus shifted already? Like just looking at this? I feel like I've been shooting photography long enough that I kind of get like a feel for distances. I just feel like the distance I'm at is not what the focus peaking is showing. Is this a issue with not having CPU contacts and so it's not communicating effectively? I don't know. I just have this sneaking suspicion that it's off. It looks off. It's definitely like not metering 100% what I feel like it should. I switched to spot metering to check and it looks blown out and it's showing it's only like one stop overexposed. I shot this little section right here at 1/8,000th of a second at f1.4, 100 ISO, trying to get as much contrast out of this thing as I possibly can. I'm trying to get it nice and dark and rich looking in the EVF. That way I have some room to play around and post. There you go, we'll shoot that right there. See if we can use it. That's about all the fun I want to have with this one, so let's get inside and see what they look like in Lightroom. All right, PerGear, show us your stuff. Red saturation is okay. Yellow saturation, it's okay. Blue is okay. I got something of the sky though, somewhere. Blue saturation is okay. I'd say saturation across the board is between natural and slightly saturated, so slightly more than natural. It's not a very sharp lens, and that's fine for $109. Let's check the black and white ability. It is flat. It is flat. See if Gravedigger can save it. It helps, but it is flat. BW Grit and Gravy works a little better. Tons of vignetting on this lens. You move the lens correction for vignetting dial to about 61, and it's perfectly fine. I wouldn't say that f1.4 is remarkably low contrast, which is a good thing. I'd say it's okay. It's not a very contrasty lens, but there's not like a huge amount of like color and contrast fall off wide open, which is a pretty nice thing. You know, definitely not something I would expect to see in a $109 lens. The vignetting pretty much clears up by f4. This is an f1.4. It's definitely soft. We're kind of close to minimum focus, I think, but it's not particularly sharp getting this close, but you do get a nice artistic look whenever you get this close. I'd throw a preset on this, and I'm not seeing a ton of, there's some fringing, but it's certainly not as much as I would expect. The situation could be worse, and we'll see that in a second, but I want to try this with one of my presets. Blue Mood Portrait I'm okay with. Moody Brown is probably the most appropriate preset for this particular scene. Looks pretty cool, I'd take that. Again, Moody Brown is looking pretty good. I think we stop down to f2.8 here maybe. Sharpens up a little. If you give yourself some distance between the subject, then it does sharpen up decently. This one I just missed entirely. Okay, and even in the center, the bokeh is kind of lemon shaped. So not great bokeh performance. If this kind of thing doesn't bother me, it bothers a lot of people, but not me. Okay, so in this higher contrast situation, very, very, very terrible fringing. Yeah, definitely doesn't do it. Look at that purple fringing, green fringing. So this is the kind of scenarios where I would expect a lot of fringing, and it's definitely fringing really hard. And it's very soft. This is all at f1.4. It's very soft. Trying to get that sun to flare. Yeah, look at that. And if there was anything that would look artistic and cool, it'd be this one. So let's try some presets. Oh, back alley blue. Looks like that does some craziness to that glare that's coming in. I actually kind of like it. Looks like a. Actually, let me grab a radial gradient. There, we did something with it. This lens definitely isn't for me, but if it's for you, you could pick them up, I think, at Amazon. I don't make any money. About $109 or something like that. It could be fun for you. I'm ZWade, the ZWade, and ZWade Photo. Stay sharp, YouTube.